Welcome back to what is now the final session of commsHERO Week. And it's an absolute pleasure to welcome Gareth Turner. I'm going to give you some of his bio because it's important, this stuff. So Gareth Turner is the former head of marketing at Weetabix, where he oversaw the long-term brand strategy for the nation's favourite cereal. Are there any Weetabix fans out there? Drop that in the comments if you are. And he's got over 23 years experience working within food and drink, and also has had the pleasure of leading the marketing for household name brands like John Smith's, Bulmers, Lurpak and Arla in local and global roles. And now Gareth runs his own marketing consultancy, Big Black Door, which offers senior marketing leadership and marketing leadership experience to businesses who want to supercharge their growth. Lots of career highlights, but the key one is the Gareth's team. He was in charge of the team that unleashed a multi-award-winning Beanz on Bix on the world and broke the internet in the process. And that's exactly what Gareth is going to be talking to us about. So can we have some emoji love for Gareth before we get in? And I'm going to disappear off stage. I'll come back. This is a fantastic opportunity for you to hear from behind the scenes of, is there anyone in the audience who hasn't heard about that Beanz on Weetabix? Then drop in your questions, drop in your chat. I'd love to pick that up, and Gareth's here to answer those. So we'll see you on the other side, Gareth.
Great. Thank you. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Just get myself set up. I've got some video, I've got some strategy stuff. I've got about 20 minutes or so. So I'm all that stands between you and the pub, I reckon. So my plan right now is to give you the inside scoop on what happened on the 9th of February 2021. So it's a little while ago now. It's the day that strategy met bravery and Weetabix broke the internet. So firstly, a little bit about me. As Steve said, I've worked on some big brands. I was very fortunate to have some big brands that I've worked on over the years, and well-invested brands. And I'd say most latterly at Weetabix. Before that, I was at Heineken and Arla Foods. And now I'm this consultant working with brands like Spoon Cereals, Mighty, and other brands to simplify their marketing. Right? I reckon best marketing is simple marketing, and marketing that delivers on strategy. And you'll see a bit more of that today. So before we get going, a bit of a reminder for everyone about on what happened on the 9th of February 2021. I've got a video. No marketing presentation is complete without a video. So I've got a video to tell you what happened.
Weetabix and Beanz saga. Clearly a very clever marketing stunt, and once again, we congratulate them. Whatever you're paying them, Weetabix, double it. I think I know who it was. It was Frank PR, wasn't it?
Twitter accounts. GCHQ, the government's communications headquarters, the state account for Israel, and Pfizer UK, American Embassy. Check the standing orders and they say no Beanz on Weetabix. Read them and understand them.
I mean, this is incredible.
One of the debates that's been dividing the nation this week, perhaps even more divisive than Brexit has been over the years, is whether having Weetabix with baked beans is an attractive serving suggestion for a healthy meal.
Mr. Speaker, as they used to say, Weetabix are on Weetabix.
cereal brand has caused a stir by suggesting it could be served with baked beans. Weetabix or shredded wheat.
So yeah, it was a heck of a week. That one tweet generated a media value, we believe, of over £2 million. It had 1.3 billion impressions, 309 million reach. You can read the stats there yourself. So it was a big week for us. And that week of activity, so there's a week of activity, I'll come back to that in a minute. That week of activity cost us in total £5,000. And it was all organic reach we got. That £5,000 was spent on agency fees and getting some assets produced. But yeah, all the impressions were totally organic, not paid for at all. So it's pretty good. But wait a minute, what was it that happened there? Was it an amazing week in the life of a brand team? Yeah, it was pretty testing at times. It was definitely a once in a career moment. But can we unpick it a bit? Can we go back and share what was it that led up to that point and how we got there and how we did it? And when we talk about this, we get asked 4 questions. We get asked who had the idea. We get asked, were we scared? Were we afraid about that? Was it a bit too brave for us? How we made it happen, the logistics of how it happened, and the results. And I'm going to rattle through each of those in turn. So if we rewind and look at the Weetabix strategy, Weetabix has been around since 1932. It's the 90th anniversary of Weetabix. They've just had it in August this year. They make 11 million biscuits every single day, and they're in the top 40 of brands, FMCG brands in the UK. They're huge. They have a rich heritage. They're part of the fabric of British society, and they're brilliantly well recognised. 97% prompted awareness for Weetabix, and I reckon 3% are lying. But 2 years ago, spontaneous awareness wasn't really where it should be. I can't remember the exact number. It's something like sort of low to mid 20s. So people spontaneously talking about Weetabix when they were asked to name a breakfast cereal. So we just weren't front of mind enough, and that was something that we had to work on. And there were 2 jobs for us to do, therefore. So the first job was to address that salience issue. We need to make Weetabix spring to mind whenever anyone's thinking about breakfast. But we also had to make it easy to find and easy to buy in store. And that's why we did a significant partnership with the England men's and women's football teams, actually the football teams of all the nations across the UK, to unlock promotional space in store with a compelling promotion on pack to give people a reason to pick it off the shelf and stick it in their trolley and take it home. That's another case study. That's another, maybe I'll come back next year and talk about that. But this is about that first part, making Weetabix more salient, more front of mind. And one way to do that is simple, right? You just spend your way there. You outspend everyone else in your category, and you're going to do a good job. That's great. That's one way of doing it, but that's not sustainable. We had to create our awareness. We had to build our spontaneous awareness by making our brand more relevant. So if you look on the left-hand side there, I think it's left for me on that chart. These were 2 slides from our brand planning deck that year. And we wanted to increase salience. So we looked to drive or maintain our great awareness, but to build relevance. And you put those 2 things together and you get share of mind or salience or mental availability, as Byron Sharp and the Ehrenberg Bass Institute would call it. And on the right-hand chart, you can see some of the principles that we would work to. So some of the media principles we worked to try and drive that relevance and salience. So we had a 70-20-10 approach. 70% of our media budget is in tried and tested things like TV. 20% was in stuff that was sort of partially proven or things we'd seen work for other brands, but not necessarily for us. And 10% was in test and learn. So, I mean, when I joined the business, the truth was that Weetabix had a TV only approach to media, and we gradually layered on in this 20 and 10% other media channels like broadcaster, VOD, radio, YouTube, and social media. So the result of that was not only that we had an improved ability to deliver relevant comms at the right moment, the right message and moment in the media to drive relevance. We managed to increase our reach and our frequency whilst reducing the overall cost of our media. We had been chasing younger audiences with TV, so we allowed TV just to naturally go older and use the money we saved there to spend on social media. So Weetabix, therefore, a traditional advertiser, and we had two strands of communication. We had an equity strand of communication and a recipe strand, a long-term and a short-term, the classic Field and Burnett IPA paper, long-term and short-term brand building. So I've got the video that we launched just before I left with the latest equity driving campaign for Weetabix.
Little pigs, let me come in. Not by the house, lad. Chin, chin, chin. Then I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. This house may be built of bricks, but my day starts at Weetabix.
Have you had your Weetabix?
So that was the equity driving campaign. Then we have this other strand about driving recipe inspiration, trying to encourage people to take the product out of the fridge, out of the cupboard, and put it in their bowls and eat it. So this is a strand of work we call the Any Which Weetabix strand. So giving people perhaps some slightly quirky ways of serving their product.
Is 2022 the year you'll get into something a bit newer, Bix? Like the year you go plant-based to Bix? Is that oat milk? Or when you work remotely, somewhere tropical a Bix? Try a self-driving car a Bix. Watch out! Oh, that was close. Have you had your Weetabix?
So keeping it relevant for the period we're in, we change those every so often. So if we get back to the 9th of February, I haven't forgotten about that. The truth is that recipe inspiration is something that Weetabix have been doing for ages on all media channels. And they've run promotions in the past to get consumers to send in recipes that they then published into a book. And then one of those recipes, a Weetabix coated chicken recipe, a bit like KFC, but baked, it got a bit of traction in the national press, which got us thinking, well, could we do something more with this? Could we do more quirky recipes? So the answer to that first question, whose idea was it? Well, it's that the Beanz on Bix tweet came from it was just the latest iteration of something we've been doing for years. It was created in collaboration with Frank, who are our social media agency, and the assistant brand manager in the Weetabix team, Elaine. I must take very little credit for it. It was Elaine and Frank who did it. And ultimately, Elaine really signed that off. We'll talk about this in a minute, about how we enabled some bravery in our department. But Elaine signed that off. So that leads us neatly on to that second question. Were you scared? Or perhaps more precisely, was Elaine scared? You'd have to ask her. But I hope to say no, because we've been working on creating a braver culture in our department. My job as a marketing leader is to make the brave seem less brave. And we were looking for bolder work, because we believe bolder work is better work. But we have to keep it in context. We're not talking about being a firefighter, or I believe the previous speaker was a hostage negotiator. That's proper important stuff. We're just doing marketing, right? So my job is to create a culture of high confidence with high support for the team, so they know that someone's got their back, so they can then push and be slightly braver with their work. And to do that, we created there's a couple of things we did. We created a yes if approach in the marketing department, rather than a no because. So yes, we can do that if you can show me that the taste credentials are still going to be okay on that tweet. Or you can think of a number of different examples of how that might work with different challenges. It's a much more uplifting. It's a coaching opportunity. It gives people opportunities to find out things for themselves. And the other thing we do had a mantra of what's the worst that could happen. So we're assuming positive intent. We're assuming that no one's coming to work thinking, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mess it right up today. No one does that. So we assume positive intent and think, well, what's the worst that could happen here? Well, the worst that could happen for that tweet was that people might just scroll past it. In reality, no one's going to go, do you know what? I'm stopping. That's it. That was so disgusting. I'm never going to buy Weetabix again. It's just not going to happen. So the worst that could happen was that we didn't get any noise at all. So, and that's not too bad, really. So the third question, how did you make it happen? How do we make this banter happen? That's a quote from a term from Frank. The truth is, a spoiler alert, the truth is, it's hideously boring. There's it's just proper planning and preparation. We planned that day and that week's of activity. We planned it very carefully. We set up and we engaged with those other brands in advance. We chose brands that were active on social media, that were big, that were up for a bit of fun, that had a clear tone of voice. And when we spoke to these brands, we said, look, we're gonna say this thing. We'd like to do this thing for you, and we're going to say this. Are you going to reply? They said, yes, we are going to reply. We said, well, what are you going to say? They said, well, we'll say this. Okay, well, if you say that, then we'll say this. It was pretty scripted. It was planned spontaneity. So Marmite on the left there. Marmite was the first we had that week. I thought Marmite was going to be the big one on the Monday, which shows you how much I know. Then Tuesday came with Beanz on Bix, but other brands we had Innocent Smoothies, you can see there on the right. We had Pip and Nut, peanut butter, and we had Cathedral City cheddar. So that Beanz on Bix one was the one that really took off. And as it got some momentum, we were obviously active on community engagement. We were making sure that our comments, we were responding to people's comments with timely, personalized, humorous reaction from a bank of pre-approved responses. So I say it's planned spontaneity. We riffed on them a bit, but we had stuff that our legal team were happy with. But as that volume of mentions grew, we had to prioritize the higher profile interactions. Things like, the state of Israel. The state of Israel said, finally, something the whole Middle East can agree on. What's going on there? So we prioritized those ones, and then it started to spread, and it became as you say, it became big. And since then, other brands have started to tag us, like we tagged in Marmite and Innocent and other people. We've gained some positive momentum on this too. So Macmillan did something at the back end of last year. They had that piece of work had 11 million impressions and had over 90 pieces of media coverage about whether we were the an acceptable biscuit in the UK. And you can see on the right hand side there, there was an overnight Weetabix recipe on TikTok that got 21 million views. Both of those things are organic. They didn't actually approach us in advance, but they tagged us in, and you can see the results for themselves. So it became a positive. It became a virtuous circle as people start to tag us in because they know we have a bit of fun, and people like to see brands that are well established and well known having a bit of fun. So the fourth thing, back to the results, right? The fourth thing was, what were the results? Well, we were crowned, Weetabix were crowned Campaign of the Year by Marketing Week. That award was voted for by the readers of Marketing Week. We won over 30 other awards. Got a bit of a problem with that, really. I don't think it was a campaign. It was one tweet in a long-term campaign, but I'll take the award whilst it's going. And in that February period, we had a significant word of mouth. This is a YouGov report. You can see the purple lines there show the Weetabix word of mouth, the Weetabix sort of talkability, and green lines is a competitor, it's Quaker. So you can see, we spiked. We were bigger anyway, but we spiked in that period in February, which is unsurprising, right? Given some of the numbers I spoke about earlier on. So the results, it was safe to say, I think the results were incredible. All these results are from a data provider called Dipsticks that we use, and were to the end of February 2021, unless I've said otherwise on there. But I have to say, I think these results are a result of our long-term strategy rather than one tweet. That tweet was part of that campaign, and the truth is, we can't attribute any results to that one tweet. We didn't see a massive spike in sales that week or the week after, because that's not how people buy cereal. It's not an impulse buy like a bar of chocolate might be. But and just like you wouldn't expect to see a spike in sales when you put one TV ad out, but it's part of a broader campaign. So spontaneous awareness, you can see there. I'll pick a couple of these out. Spontaneous awareness, top right, grew by 15.5% in the 8 months versus the previous June. But that's just that 8 months. Year on year, we were 40% up on spontaneous awareness. That's an incredible performance. That doesn't shift that fast normally. A couple of others. I talked about the way we'd changed our media planning. So we already had a gold standard return on investment, ROI, but that more refined media strategy and more relevant communications giving us more cut through improved that by 30%. Our sales value and volume increased. And finally, our penetration increased 2 percentage points. That doesn't sound very much, but that's just under 700,000 new shoppers versus the previous year in the 52 weeks to the end of January in Kantar. So that's a huge number of people who were now buying Weetabix who hadn't previously bought Weetabix. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing in a second. Thanks for listening. I don't know. I'm going to go back to the screen, see if anyone's actually still there. But I'm happy to answer any questions or have a discussion either in the chat here or on LinkedIn or something later on. I'm pretty prolific on LinkedIn. You'll be able to find me there. You can engage with me there. And say I write a semi-regular newsletter, so make sure you signed up for that as well. Thank you.
Excellent, Gareth. Thank you so much. And with lots of Weetabix banter or branter, so I'll just pick up a few comments from our audience. Nigel Taberner, my 19-year-old's record is a 12 Weetabix breakfast.
Lord. Well, so, carry on. He's paying for my pension, so he needs to carry on with
that. From Alison Lawton, so look, there are about 4 boxes of Weetabix in my son's student house in Leeds. A student staple. Alison Lawton.
I live in Leeds. I live in Leeds as well.
There you go.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So Alison Lawton, this is obviously all amazing, but that Weetabixy font takes the biscuit. Thank you, Alison. So look, Dylan Lambert, I remember growing up, my dad thought I was absolutely mad adding banana and yogurt to my Weetabix. And let's pick up a question here we've got from our very own Kate. How do you achieve banter, especially with your competitors? And a little follow-up to that was, Aldi does this so well, but how can smaller organisations jump on the banter wagon? Ryanair is another example.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of good examples there. I think you've got to go back to that idea of bravery. You've got to have some assume positive intent. So you have to create some freedom for people to do that. You have to, but there's freedom within a framework. So you need to have very clear brand tone of voice defined. You need to have a very clear set of brand guidelines, and you have to let people do it. You have to let people do it. And that's uncomfortable for someone old school like myself. Social media is a very different beast now to what TV is and radio and everything else, which is all really planned and approved, etc.
Yeah,
it's got to be okay to let it go. And I can remember having a chat with another marketing leader from Yorkshire Tea, and I think Yorkshire Tea do this brilliantly. And do you know what? There's sometimes there'll be stuff there that you're driving home thinking, "Oh, I'm not too sure about that one. I'm not too sure about that," and that happens. But again, what's the worst that could happen? That person hasn't set out to destroy a brand. They might have done something, or that they might have posted something online which you go, "Yeah, I think it could have been better," or "I'm not sure I agree with that." But what's the worst that could happen? People are going to scroll past it as long as you're not offensive, as long as you're on brand. When no one's brand's going to be offensive unless you're sort of Paddy Power or something. You can be it. Just give people the freedom to do it, and then give them the ability to make these decisions themselves, because that's how you get speed and brand going, and then have a debrief afterwards. I think you've just got to be comfortably uncomfortable. You got to just be okay with letting people have a go.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gareth, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a fantastic session and a really fascinating insight into what everyone will have recognized as a campaign. So show your emoji love for Gareth and connect with him on LinkedIn as well. And let's break the internet with his notifications then that's going to get after this session. So lots of people, I'm sure, will watch this on demand, as it is on demand for 12 months. So Gareth, thank you so much. And I'm just going to wrap up commsHERO Week with a few announcements, and look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Right, here we go with just a few final announcements. Can you believe it's the end of commsHERO Week? So we have, you've all participated either on demand or live in sessions. So thanks everyone for getting involved. But we've got a feedback form, a survey that's just flashing up on the top of the chat column. So if you get a chance, please come into the platform and fill that in for us. There's it's important feedback for us to keep improving the event, because we're going to do commsHERO Week again next year. There's talk of a commsHERO Awards as well, and awards with a difference. All the categories that haven't been done in other awards through the years. So there's the feedback form, so please do fill that in for us. The final stats for commsHERO Week, across the week, we've had a reach of 3.4 million accounts, which is mind-blowing, to be honest with you. So absolutely delighted, and it's the tweets and the posts on LinkedIn and Insta that have generated that reach. So thank you everyone for doing that. So we've got some competition winners. Before I do that, I'm just going to give some thank yous out, and we'll leave the competition winners to keep you all on edge for that. So the thank yous to our sponsors and partners, who are Wads Inc., Stephen and Sarah Waddington, Karma, First Up, Blink, Work Networks, CIM, CIPR, PRCA, and the IOIC. Thank you so much to all of you guys for your support and in promoting the event to your memberships as well. And the speakers, who we were obviously ready to go on the 19th of September, but we had to postpone to this week. All the speakers have been fantastic in rescheduling their diaries. So thank you so much for that support. The delegates, you guys, for watching, asking questions, dropping comments in the chat, and watching both live and on demand. It wouldn't be there without you. There's been 235 people that are booked in total on the event. And the unsung heroes in all of this as well, the resource team who've worked tirelessly to bring the speakers together, build a platform. You see, this is what we do. We do virtual events. So they worked absolutely fantastic, and especially to Kate Staniforth, who's actually feeling a bit under the weather today, but like a true martyr, absolutely bossed it and smashed it, along with her leading the event team. So thank you so much for your efforts as well. So there you go. Lots of emoji love for everyone in that roll call. So on to the competition now. So we've got the daily competition winners, who we have. There are 5 Krispy Kreme vouchers left to give out. Those will be announced on Twitter. So there's 5 more lucky people. So we've had 15 Krispy Kreme winners through the week. It wouldn't be commsHERO without their support. And the one you've all been waiting for, the leaderboard in the platform itself. So just to tell you what the prizes are, first place is a £100 Amazon voucher and 1 Comms Creative course of their choice. Second place, £50 Amazon voucher and a Comms Creative course. And I see Helen was in the chat before, so thank you, Helen, for offering these. And third place, £25 Amazon voucher and 1 place on the Comms Creative course. So who are the winners? So as soon as I press this, that's that competition closed. Drum roll, here we go. Let's go. Third place is Annie Cooper. So fantastic. Annie's been fighting for first place as well, but just pipped towards the end on 4,905 points. In silver, is Dylan Lambert from Work Network. So fantastic with 5,075. It's all been very close, but our winner, who's been there throughout pretty much most of the week, Emma Elston with 5,210 points. So congratulations to all three of you on those prizes, and the team will be in touch to organise where the vouchers go to and the Comms Creatives place on a course of your choice. So what a fantastic week. It's always a kind of surreal moment to finish off a whole, a day event is great, but to do a whole week, massive thank you to everyone again. And we're all off for a break now. So have a fantastic weekend, everyone. Catch this on demand, and you've got it there for 12 months. So anyone who hasn't received swag, that's going to get sent out by the end of October. You'll be receiving those early November. So watch out for those and post on social. Keep posting on social for any of the on-demand. But thank you, everyone, for your efforts and getting involved. Thank you.